Hey, coach in the making. Ready to build that playbook for absolutely crushing your football coach interview. We're going to bring it down today and get you feeling confident and prepared.
Coaching is such a rewarding field to be in. It's about so much more than just winning games. It's about leadership and strategy and shaping young athletes.
Love that. And speaking of preparation, I've got your RoleCatcher research packet right here. Wow, this is great. Career insights, tailored interview questions, they've got it all. I'm ready to dive in. You.
Let's tackle it. Those interview questions are where you'll really shine, so let's start there and weave in those awesome career guide insights as we go.
Sounds like a winning game plan to me. All right, question number one. What experience do you have coaching football? Seems like a pretty standard way to kick things off, right?
It is, but don't fall into the trap of just rattling off a list of teams. Anyone can do that. Think about it more like, how can you make your passion jump out at them? Did you spend summers volunteering at a youth camp? Or maybe you were assisting a more seasoned coach? Those are the experiences that really show your dedication, even without all the years on a resume.
And that's where I think RoleCatcher's AI can really give you an advantage, right? I mean, their system actually analyzes the job description to help you tailor your answers. That's incredible.
It's true. Imagine having a secret weapon that knows exactly what that hiring manager is looking for and helps you hit all the right notes. That's what their AI does.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next challenge. How would you motivate a team that's struggling to win? Now, this is getting into the real nitty-gritty of coaching, don't you think? It's more than just X's and O's at this point.
You got it. This one goes straight to leadership skills, which are essential for any good coach. Anyone can celebrate a win, but keeping a team inspired when they're down. That's the mark of a true leader. And the career guide really emphasizes the importance of communication and how well a coach understands the people around them. So when you're forming your answer, think about how you can highlight those skills.
So instead of just defaulting to, like, work harder, you could talk about maybe a time you helped a team refocus by setting small, achievable goals, or maybe even shifting their focus to individual progress instead of just the scoreboard.
Exactly. Specific examples like that are much more powerful than just vague ideas, right? It shows you've been there, you've learned from it, and you have actionable steps in mind.
Show, don't tell, as they say, right? And that reminds me, this feels like another spot where RoleCatcher's AI feedback could be a game changer. They analyze your answers to make sure you're packing in those important details. It's amazing.
It's like having a coaching consultant in your back pocket. All right, ready for our next play?
Hit me with it.
Okay, this one trips people up sometimes. How would you handle conflicts between players on the team? Remember, it's not enough to just say you'd break up a fight on the field, right? This is about conflict resolution at a deeper level. Are you a mentor? Are you a leader?
It's about being both, right?
Yeah.
Creating that balance is key. And the career guide actually highlights those as super important qualities for a coach to have. So I'm thinking instead of just saying something generic like, oh, I told him to work it out, you'd want to show a more, a more thought out approach.
Absolutely. Think back to a real conflict you've dealt with, something specific, maybe a disagreement over playing time or strategy. How did you handle it? What was your process? Did you mediate, or was it a teachable moment for everyone? Sharing an actual experience like that, it just makes your answers so much more impactful.
It does. It makes it memorable. It shows experience. Great point.
And that's another opportunity for RoleCatcher's AI to really add value. They can take that real-life example you came up with, analyze it in the context of the specific job you want, and give you feedback on how to tailor it even further.
It's like having a personalized playbook just for your interview.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm ready for the next challenge. What else do we have?
All right, time to test that football IQ. How do you develop a game strategy for a specific opponent?
It's almost like you're playing chess on a football field, right? You have to anticipate their every move and have a counter strategy ready.
Mm.
And the career guide stresses staying updated with the latest coaching techniques, can't be stuck in the past, right? So this would be the perfect place to highlight that, wouldn't it?
100%. Did you read any interesting articles lately or maybe attend a coaching clinic recently? Sharing something like that just shows you're hungry to learn and you're always evolving your game.
And RoleCatcher has, like, a treasure trove of resources for that, don't they? Didn't I read somewhere they have thousands of career guides and interview guides? It's amazing.
Yeah. They do. It's like having a direct line to a whole coaching staff, all there to support you.
Love it. What's next on the playbook for us?
Let's talk about player injuries. Injuries are unfortunately part of the game, and the next question is, how do you handle player injuries during a game? This one requires you to think on your feet. How do you stay calm and collected under pressure?
That's a great point. It's definitely more than just calling for the team doctor. I can see how this question would be important for assessing, like, your judgment and how you make decisions when the stakes are high. Any advice on how to approach this one?
Definitely break it down step by step. How would you figure out how serious the injury is? What would you be thinking about in those first few seconds? Would you talk to the player, the medical staff? How would you adapt your game plan based on what happened? Walking them through your process, that's key here.
And I bet you could weave in some of the insights from the career guide, right?
Yeah.
Like talking about the importance of having safety protocols in place and how you would follow them, showing you're all about player safety first and foremost.
Exactly. You don't want to sound like winning is all you care about. Showing that human side, that empathy, it goes a long way.
Okay, before we call it a wrap on this part of our deep dive, I think we have time for one more question. What do you think?
Let's do it. How about, how do you balance team discipline with player development? This one always brings up good discussion. It's the heart of coaching, really.
Right, because it's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
You have to be firm, set clear expectations, but also create a supportive environment where these players can, thrive.
And that's exactly what they're looking for in their next great coach. Think about how you would describe your own coaching philosophy. Do you tend to be more structured, very disciplined, or do you lean towards a more player-centric approach? This question lets you showcase that.
And maybe even talk about a specific time you found that balance successfully, right? Like, did you ever have to discipline a player but still manage to encourage them and keep them believing in themselves?
Yes. That kind of real-life experience, it just makes your answer so much stronger. It shows you've been there.
And don't forget, if you ever get stuck on how to really make an answer stand out for a specific job, RoleCatcher's AI is there to give you that extra edge, right?
24/7. It's like having a coaching mentor you can call on any time, day or night.
I love it. Well, that's a wrap on this part of our football coaching interview prep. We've covered a ton today, and I already feel way more prepared, don't you?
Don't worry, we've got plenty more to cover.
Stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive, where we'll be back to tackle even more interview questions and really unlock those secrets to landing your dream coaching job.
And we're back, ready to dive back into those interview questions and turn you into the ultimate coaching candidate.
Let's do it. We left off talking about balancing discipline and development, so let's keep that energy going.
Perfect. Now, the next question on our list is, how would you handle a player who is not meeting team expectations? This one feels like it could come up in any coaching interview, regardless of the level. Have you found that to be true? Oh, absolutely. It's bound to happen, right? I mean, you're going to have players with different skill levels, some more motivated than others, some who just need a little extra time to grasp things. And that's fine. That's part of it. The key here is showing the interviewer that you can handle the situations proactively, and that you have a plan.
And that you're not going to just, throw in the towel on a player.
Yeah.
Right? You're there to help them improve.
Exactly. So instead of jumping to conclusions, you want to show them you're going to take a more, I don't know, maybe like a detective approach, right?
Yeah.
Get to the bottom of things.
I like that, a detective approach. So walk me through it. What would that look like?
Well, I always start by trying to figure out what's going on, right? Is it a lack of skill? Are they just not confident? Are they not putting in the effort? Once I kind of pinpoint the root of the problem, then I can tailor my approach. Maybe they need extra practice, some one-on-one time, maybe even a different role on the team would suit them better.
See, and that's what I love about coaching. You're not just there to bark orders. You're a mentor. You're a guide, sometimes even a counselor.
That's a big part of it, for sure. And, the career guide talks a lot about building a positive team culture. And I think this question is the perfect opportunity to touch on that. Like, how would you address this player's performance in a way that not only helps them, but also reinforces that positive team environment?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to create a culture of fear or anything like that. It should be about support and encouragement, right?
100%. And this is where, I think RoleCatcher's AI could really come in handy. Imagine plugging in the job description. Like, are you interviewing for a youth league coaching position, or are you going for a professional team? Because the way you answer that question might be totally different, right? The AI can help you fine-tune your response to fit what they're looking for. It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket, giving you that extra edge. All right, you ready to tackle the next one?
Bring it on. What do we have?
Okay. This is a big one. How do you manage team morale during a losing streak? This is where your leadership skills really come to the forefront, I think.
It's easy to be the cheerleader when everyone's winning.
Right.
But when things get tough, That's when a coach's true colors show.
Absolutely. So I want you to really think about some strategies you might use. What would you do to keep those spirits up, those heads held high, even when the scoreboard isn't looking so great? Would you emphasize the progress they're making as individuals? Would you maybe remind them of past victories, get them feeling that winning spirit again?
What about humor? I feel like sometimes a little laughter can go a long way in breaking the tension.
Absolutely. The career guide talks about social perceptiveness, and that's a huge part of it. Knowing when to crack a joke, when to offer a word of encouragement, that's key. And those are all things you can highlight in your answer.
It's about reading the room, right? Feeling the energy of your team and responding accordingly.
You got it. And just like with those other questions, remember, RoleCatcher's AI feedback is there to help you really nail this one. They can analyze your answer, see if you're effectively conveying those leadership qualities, those communication skills. It's amazing.
It's like having your own personal communication coach right there with you. Okay, I'm ready for the next challenge. What else do you have up your sleeve?
All right, let's talk about staying power. This next question is all about that. How do you stay up to date with the latest coaching techniques and strategies? The game's always evolving, right? So you've got to evolve with it.
You can't just rely on what worked 10 years ago, right?
Exactly. So think about it. How do you stay ahead of the curve? What resources do you rely on?
Well, the career guide mentioned attending coaching clinics, reading industry publications, things like that. Those seem like great places to start.
They are, but don't just tell them, show them. Like, did you go to a really interesting coaching conference last year? Is there a coach you really admire who's doing some groundbreaking stuff? Do you read coaching journals? Anything like that. Those details bring your answer to life.
It shows that you're truly passionate about coaching, that it's not just a job for you, right? It's something you eat, sleep, and breathe.
Exactly. And remember, RoleCatcher has a ton of resources to help you stay informed. Their career guides, skill guides, interview guides. I mean, they've got it all. It's like having a personal research assistant. Okay? Ready to keep this momentum going?
Absolutely. Hit me with your best shot. All right, this one's a good one. How do you handle the pressure of coaching in high-stakes games? I feel like this question gets right to the heart of what it takes to be a coach.
Pressure can either make you or break you, right? They want to know you can handle it, that you can make those split-second decisions even when the stakes are sky high. So how would you answer that?
I think honesty is important here, wouldn't you say? Because I don't think anyone can say they don't feel pressure in those moments. Right?
Yeah, I agree. It's about how you manage it, not if you feel it. Like, do you have any rituals that help you get in the zone, like a pregame routine or something? Do you use visualization techniques, positive self-talk? Those little insights, they make you more relatable, more human.
And they show that you've got those mental strategies in place to handle the demands of the job.
Right, because coaching isn't just about X's and O's, it's about managing your own energy and your team's energy.
Yeah.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI feedback, it can be a lifesaver for questions like this. It can analyze your tone, make sure you're coming across as confident and in control, which is exactly what you want in those high-pressure situations.
It's like having a performance coach right there in your corner.
Exactly. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. Just a few more to go. Ready to finish strong.
All right, Coach, we're in the home stretch, ready to tackle those final few interview questions and really seal the deal on that dream coaching job.
Let's do it. We've got this.
Okay, this next one's interesting. How do you handle player injuries during a game? Because it's game time, right? You have to think fast, but obviously safety comes first.
It's one of those situations where you have to be both a coach and a compassionate leader at the same time. It's a delicate balance for sure.
So how do you walk that line in an interview? What are some key things to focus on when you're answering this?
Well, I always try to emphasize the importance of having a clear process, like not just panicking, but really thinking it through. So for me, I would talk about how I'd immediately assess the situation, consider all the factors, the severity, the player's well-being, and of course, following the established safety protocols. That goes without saying.
So you're a coach, a medic, a crisis manager, all in one.
That's a great way to put it. And don't forget about communication. You've got to make sure you're on the same page with the player, the medical staff, the rest of the team. Clear communication is key in those high-pressure moments.
And I bet you could bring in some of those career guide insights here too, right? Talking about those established safety protocols, showing you're all about player safety first and foremost.
Absolutely. Because any good coach will tell you winning at all costs is not the name of the game. You've got to prioritize the well-being of your players, period.
Couldn't agree more. All right, next up, how do you balance team discipline with player development.
This one's huge, right? It's like the age-old coaching dilemma. How do you toe that line?
It's a balancing act for sure, and it's something that every coach has their own philosophy about. But the key here is showing the interviewer that you've thought about it, that you have a system, and that you can create a positive, growth-oriented environment even with discipline.
Because you don't want to be that coach, the one who just yells all the time.
Yeah.
Right? The kids aren't going to respond to that.
Exactly. They'll just shut down. And that's the opposite of what we want. The career guide talks a lot about creating a culture of respect. And I feel like that applies here in a big way, like setting those boundaries, holding players accountable, but also recognizing that everyone's different, everyone learns differently.
Hey, it's not one size fits all, is it? So when you're answering this question, think about how you've done that in the past. Did you have to discipline a player, but then also find a way to encourage them? Let them know you still believed in them?
That's a great point. It's those real-life examples that really bring it home for people.
They do, because anyone can talk the talk, but those stories show you've walked the walk.
Love it. Okay, what's next?
All right, here's one that can be a little tricky if you're not prepared. How would you handle a player who is not meeting team expectations? Because let's face it, not every player is going to be a star.
Yeah, man. And that's okay. But as a coach, you've got to figure out how to help them reach their potential, whatever that looks like for them.
Exactly, and how you go about doing that. That's what they want to know. So again, it's about having a process. Would you start by talking to the player one-on-one? Would you maybe review game film with them, give them some specific pointers? Would you maybe even seek out advice from other coaches you admire, get their perspective?
It's about showing them you're invested, that you're not just going to give up on a player.
And that you're willing to go the extra mile to help them succeed, which is what coaching is all about, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, ready for our next challenge?
Hey, busy.
Let's talk about losing streaks, because those are rough no matter what level you're coaching at. So the question is, how do you manage team morale during a losing streak?
Ooh, that's a tough one, but so important. Because when a team's losing, those doubts start to creep in, right? It can be hard to stay positive. So they want to see that you can be that steady, that rock for your team, even when things are tough.
Yeah, like anyone can celebrate a win, right? But what do you do when things aren't going your way?
Exactly. And that's where those leadership skills really come into play. And, the career guide actually had some great tips on this, like open and honest communication is huge. Acknowledging those frustrations, letting those players know that it's okay to feel disappointed, but then also shifting that focus, right? Reminding them that they're in this together.
Maybe even focusing on the smaller victories, right?
Yeah.
Like individual player growth, or, hey, maybe their defense was really strong even if they didn't win the game.
Exactly. It's all about perspective and showing them that you still believe in them, even when they might be doubting themselves. That's huge.
It is. It is. Okay, we're down to our last few questions. I can't believe it. What else do we have?
All right, let's talk about continuous learning. Because a good coach, they never stop learning, right? They're always looking for ways to improve. So the question is, how do you stay up to date with the latest coaching techniques and strategies?
I remember when I first started coaching, I thought I knew it all, and I quickly realized, wow, I've got a lot to learn. But that's what I love about this field. It's always evolving.
Me too. And that's what you want to convey in your answer, that excitement, that thirst for knowledge. So talk about what you do to stay current. Do you read coaching books and articles? Do you listen to podcasts?
Oh, sneaky plug. I like it.
Got to get those listens up. No, but seriously, share some specific resources you rely on. Have you attended any interesting coaching clinics or conferences lately? Is there a coach you really admire who's doing some innovative things? Those details, they make a difference.
They do. They show you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. Okay, last question, and it's a big one. How do you handle the pressure of coaching in high-stakes games? Because those nerves are real, am I right?
Oh, 100%. Those butterflies in your stomach, the pressure to perform, it's intense. And that's okay. Everyone feels it, So don't try to pretend you're this robot who doesn't get nervous. They want to see that you're human, that you feel those things, but that you also have strategies for managing that stress and performing at your best.
So be authentic, be real, but also have a plan. I love it.
Right. And this is where those little things you do to center yourself can be really helpful to share. Like, do you have a pregame ritual? Do you listen to music? Do you do any visualization techniques? Those little insights, they not only make you more relatable, but they also show the interviewer that you've got this, that you're able to stay calm and focused under pressure, which is huge.
It is huge. It's about trusting yourself, trusting your training, and just going out there and doing your best.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can be such a valuable resource throughout this whole process, from helping you identify those key skills to providing personalized feedback on your interview answers. They've really got your back.
They do. They do. It's like having a whole team of experts in your corner, cheering you on every step of the way.
Exactly. So use those resources, practice your answers, and most importantly, believe in yourself.
I love that. Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of football coaching interviews. We covered a ton of ground, broke down those tough questions, and hopefully gave you the confidence to go out there and crush it.
Absolutely. And remember, coaching is more than just a job. It's an opportunity to make a real difference in the lives of your players. So go out there, be yourself, and let your passion shine through.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us for this incredible deep dive into the world of football coaching. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep inspiring those future athletes.